you need a shared trusted system to organize that transaction. And that is the MasterCard or Visa system primarily. It's called Open Loop. It's not complicated. It's not complicated, actually. It's very, very simple. And there's some, if you are interested, there are some great short videos on YouTube that explain this. A closed loop system is like a stored value card or something where money is transferred from point to point. Wing, for instance, is a closed loop system here in Cambodia. Starbucks card would be another example. So it's just you, a payment system, and a merchant. So with that, I think I got that done in under 2 minutes. With that brief overview of the kinds of systems that there are, I'd like to invite everyone up on stage, and we can start our discussion. I'll ask the panelists some questions first, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So be ready with your questions about digital payments and transactions in Cambodia. Thank you. You guys can just, shall I call you up individually? So Mike Gardner is the COO of Sabai Digital. And Chu Nek is a senior consultant at Emerging Markets Consulting. Chet In is the co-founder of Little Fashion and Khmerload, which are, if you know it, it's the largest e-commerce site. I think that's true in Cambodia. And Thomas Tan is the CEO of Smart. I'll take that in chat. And Mr. Stephen Papp is the CEO of Papp Mazing and also the president of the ICT Federation. And is Wang Sopyak here? There you are. And Wang Sopyak is the SVP and head of product at Toyota. Oh, and Mr. Paul Clements. So I work very closely with the EVP of Cambodia Vietnam Bank. Thanks. So we have 3 microphones to share. Actually, Mike, when we were speaking earlier, we talked about broad level questions and very specific questions, and I think one of yours was, what do people actually buy online in Cambodia? I thought I'd start with you and see what you have to say about that.
Thank you. Actually, it's my questions I wanted about that myself. Just to share with you what Sabai is doing in that space. So Sabai is a payment content provider, and we are actually doing electronic payments since 2008 with our platform between our customers all over Cambodia and our game system, the electronic payment gateway in between. We have, in the past 2 years, tried to migrate to mobile and to basically get people to use it from their phone. We have met with a lot of resistance in that area. It's just adaptation is very, very slow. And then we ask ourselves the question, what do people actually want to buy that requires you to have money in electronic form and that you can't buy it with cash somewhere else outside? And we basically, our conclusion was there isn't much. There might be, currently, you might want to buy a cinema ticket because you get an added benefit of reserving a seat early on. So that is one kind of business that we see. There might be ticket sales where you can basically have booking early, you get a good seat, and you don't have to be there. And you can buy store credit for like iTunes and Apple, which you can't buy anywhere else. But that's basically it. And then we have not seen any other big driver coming out. I said, we don't have Khmerload here to share the data that they have on how people actually buy goods and services from the physical world.
Okay. So you have a lot of virtual services like the Sabai coin and the online
We
game.
have a lot of virtual services that people use, but also in this case, they are very reluctant to actually do it on their phone themselves. They rather go to our shops or our agents and do it with them. I'm not sure if the comfort level is higher there, if they just got used to it because we always did it that way. But we see a lot of people buying virtual stuff, but through agents, not executing it themselves on their phone.
Okay, at the moment, interesting. Actually, let me pause there for a minute and ask from the audience, how many people have purchased something online in Cambodia? Gone online and bought something? Not including food. Raise their hands. So, a handful of people. Okay, including food. Okay, a lot more. Okay, yeah, so Vijay, tell us your thoughts about what people are buying online.
So, the answer, of course, you can buy game coins online. You can book tickets online. But in terms of physical goods, you can buy fashion products, cosmetics. Actually, the answer is in my website.
I can show you.
I'm not sure everybody will be able to see that.
You just pick one.
Okay.
So,
You can actually buy things online in Cambodia through an app, a website, or Facebook. So we have fashion items, cosmetics, electronics, products. But the way they buy it, of course, they see it online, they buy it online, they may complete the transaction online, but usually they pay offline. So it's not a true e-commerce, but it's working. So that's the way to go.
So
from now.
So it's cash on delivery.
Yes, mostly cash on delivery, but at the same time, what they can do, they check the catalog, online catalog, and then they can come to the shop and show the thing that they want, and we give it to them. I think it's a kind of, it's called O2O, online to offline. That's kind of part of e-commerce as well, though it's not a true one.
So actually, let me turn the question over to some of the folks who are involved in providing payment solutions. Do you have a sense of what people are buying online in Cambodia?
Maybe we turn the question around and ask ourselves what they are not buying online yet, because that is the opportunity we are looking at. One of the big areas of services which consumers would like to buy, but currently the barriers are simply too high for them to execute a transaction, are contents, music, apps, these kind of relatively small tickets, ticket size items you can buy on your iOS store or on Google Play. And I believe that will be a massive market also for the Cambodians. Smartphone penetration is going through the roof. A lot of youngsters, they are into apps or music content, but currently they don't have a means to pay for what they would like to have. So certainly we as a mobile operator and one of the leading ones, we have thought quite intensively about that problem. And we came out with a product recently called Smart Pay, which is a virtual credit card directly attached to your prepaid balance. So it's a direct operator billing concept, where by subscribing simply for Smart Pay, you're getting a MasterCard number, which is then being used for buying your stuff on iOS, on the App Store, or soon coming for Google Play, and it's charged from your mobile phone wallet. So literally, from your balance, from your main balance, prepaid balance, you can recharge by a scratch card. That enables immediately 8 million people buying contents, paying for the app, in-app purchases, etc.
So that's so it's an open loop system. It's connected to MasterCard.
But it is facilitated by MasterCard because the Apple and Google they also have a MasterCard number inside. But ultimately, MasterCard is just a tool. Yeah, it's an open loop system. Yes, MasterCard. It's literally just a tool to insert into iTunes, and then it is charging straight on your mobile phone account. You don't need to have a bank account, you don't need to go for a bank physical card, nothing like that.
Let me ask, Stephen Path, you have implemented a lot of payment gateway systems here. Do you have a preference? What do you use? What are the challenges with them?
Yes, we've been developing an e-payment gateway for the last couple of years. We know that I think in any other country in the world has developed, e-commerce is really taken off. And the reason, to me, we look at how, you have to look at the whole infrastructure first, and Cambodia, I think it's missing, a lot of that. One's looking at just the way our society is, the way we spend. We're in it's based on cash. Everything we do in Cambodia, and I carry, just cash in my pockets. If you're using Khmer money or English or U.S. cash, so it's having to be able to see how aware is Cambodia can be at, say, a few years from now, when can credit cards be widely used in Cambodia? So that if we start using the plastic, and then we can kind of look at taking this online. But if our society is more driven by cash, it's going to be very difficult to move this into the online transactions. So we kind of see this as a multi-year, I think, plan. But in the beginning, I think in an intermediate step, we have to explore with the telecoms, and we talk to Smart and Thomas. Can we use phone balance? And but it's not conducive for us to do that, just because of the other margins related to that. And so I find this being very challenging, and also working with the banks. Working with a Trader Bank, we work with the checking account numbers or ATM cards. We know that if we cannot use credit cards, can we use Trader is more progressive with Unity, online banking. You can go to Unity online and make payments for electricity, and cable, and so we have another product, the Khmerload, that can also help with this as well. So some of the, I think in the balance of Unity, others can transfer to say supply coins, or can transfer to the Khmerload points. These are intermediate steps that we're taking, and we're somewhat creative in working with the different sectors, the telecoms and the banks, to provide some kind of intermediate step in conducting these transactions. So overall, I'm kind of saying it has been very challenging in the last couple of years, and as our society moves more to credit card usage. In the meantime, I think we have to be very creative to working together as an industry, because we know that e-commerce can potentially be very big here in Cambodia.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Let me follow up on something, and maybe Paul, you have thoughts on this. What else can we do to remove those barriers? How can we accelerate? Or you have another thought?
Okay. Good afternoon. I tend to agree with Thomas. I think we certainly want to focus on. We're all very excited about the new markets we haven't tapped into, in terms of beer music. And we also want to tap into markets we're not even banking, so the unbanked. And it will be on those small valued transactions. And that is the opportunity. But we need to probably start on our traditional markets where e-payments happen. And a lot of that will be existing merchants, such as hotels. So it's not just the Cambodians who are buying. It's the the tourists that come here want to pre-book and do it online. It's more secure. And there's a big demand from that hotel market and alike to have all sort of e-commerce solutions. So that's one our bank is focused on, talking to our existing merchants around our e-commerce site in terms of establishing that. There's only so many banks which are involved in e-commerce. It's either Mekong Bank, Cathay Bank, anything else, and they're open systems, and that's where I guess the banks are focused on getting their value in terms of a broader market. It's not just the Cambodian market; it needs to be global, it needs to be diverse. There is that that new opportunity that Thomas talked about, and that is I guess all parties are focusing on want to grow. But there's only 40,000 credit cards issued in Cambodia. So it's not a significant market, and it's going to be very slow before it actually becomes a larger market. 1.5 million debit cards, now that's significant. But again, it's a mixture between closed loop and open systems. Some banks issue obviously the scheme cards, and that's where I think the opportunity is on the debit cards and how people accept debit cards, want debit cards. There's this line about I still want a physical card in case my phone battery dies, and vice versa. If you lose your card, you still got your phone. But I think I think some of the inhibitors are going to be by increasing the market in terms of the population. Thomas and the other telcos are doing a wonderful job increasing the penetration of smartphones. The market's only going to grow in e-commerce as that continues to grow. And now it's a question of affordability of funds. So it's a matter of bringing other technology in that meets that market I talked about, the unbanked. And then maybe more people can actually do more banking or payments online.
Sure, let me ask you what have you seen as barriers to adoption for consumers or for merchants for using credit cards?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Actually, there's a totally new concept in Cambodia, and it requires time and it needs to be a trust. As the other speakers say, they buy product online, but they prefer to pay cash on deliveries, which is about they want to see product first, that kind of things. If they already trust about service, let's say hotels, or the other type of like cinemas, that's easy for them to pay upfront by using card or debit payment card. So this is, I think, as I said, it's a need a lot of time, need a lot of effort, and the many literature say it need to have a client protection policy in which to create trust. And I don't really see we have right now. Even on our regulatory frameworks, I would say if I'm not up to date, but at least or more on ad hoc basis, in which a lot of legislation need to be built out there.
So, go ahead.
So I think for one thing, of course, e-payment is quite new to Cambodian people. And there's also not many things that people can buy online right now. But I think the problem of adoption is, the obstacle to adoption is more our willingness from the payment providers, from merchants, from consumers, saying, okay, payment provider, e-payment providers. The first thing that I see on the contract when they ask the merchants to sign, there's a transaction fee saying, okay, bring 1.5%. So they seem not to go for long term, but they're more like they care about the short term revenue generations. And then when I ask them about the staff, whether the staff have used any online payment, I ask some staff, and most of them don't. If you don't believe in your product, why you ask the other people to use your product? So start from yourself, okay? And then ask them about the maximum budget, very before. Because same, take example as Green, they care about their mobile money transfer, which business for them. But they introduce the online payment, but there's very little investment in promoting their products. From the merchant side, the merchants, when they see the cost, they don't want to adopt the system. Even though some people adopt the system, they don't try to promote it because they think it is a cost. They don't see the benefits. And the provider always asks the merchant to try to promote the e-payments, provide customers with discounts or whatever, but they don't share the cost. And now, since the COD is cash on delivery is the preferred form of payment, they don't see the need of e-payments. Why do we need to incur costs in payments when they have COD already? Why do we need to take time to teach their consumers how to do e-payments when they have COD already? So I think there needs to be a push for merchants to adopt e-payments, to promote e-payments, but the local e-payment providers has to share some burdens.
Thomas. Mike, sorry.
Just to share the same sentiment, for us it's a bit different because
Yeah, there you go.
we provide virtual goods, but there is no cash on delivery. You either pay online or you don't get the goods. But we have seen the same issues with payment providers in Cambodia, and I understand where they are coming from. So we are currently looking for mobile titles to integrate with e-money, with True Digital Money, with Khmerload, and with Bing. And when we work with them, what we always come across is that their agent network says, well, why should I work for putting $1 into your account if you can buy something online? It's not worth my time as an agent for that money network to actually do that. And then they are saying to their upstream providers, no, you have to provide me a better rate for that. I need minimum to make that much money to make it worth my time to do this business. So we're having a huge problem here that the money in Cambodia exists in cash. And it may have been paid initially to your bank account, but we also see that many people take out their money first of the month, they take out all their money and they're converting it from online to offline. And then you need to convert it back from offline to online, and then there's a cost there of 5 to 10% from time to time. And then yes, of course, it makes your product very, very expensive if you want to charge. And of course, I would also go for COD in this case.
Okay, now please allow me to chip in on this one. I mean, Smart, we operate a payment system besides what I explained earlier, Smart Pay, which is a little different story, purely on virtual goods and with a virtual MasterCard. We are operating Smart Louis and as part of it also Internet Payment Gateway. I mean, we hear you, dear merchants, and we have to adapt to it. That's granted. What has happened in the last probably 8 years, during the period the incumbent Wing has started here. It was set up as an over-the-counter money transfer business. That was, and still is, the Wing model. And it has never changed because Wing is making good money on it. As far as I know, roughly $8 billion have been transferred via Wing during last year. That's 50% of the GDP. That is huge, but that is actually counterproductive. It is not at all looking at the challenges of e-payments, and the focus over there is not on e-payments. Smart Louis, we are looking at e-payments and as a payment, Smart Louis as a payment system. That is our focus. Yes, certainly there is an agent network and there is an ecosystem to be built, because cash has to go into the system first of all, but our focus is payments. And we have been working with Little Fashion, with Fan now, it's all live, and we are building an ecosystem around. But of course, at the end of the day, there is, from a merchant perspective, a consideration to be made. What is the cost of transaction? But it's a little too simple and easy to say, cash on delivery is fair enough. Handling of cash is risky, costs money, and at the end of the day is a big hassle if you want to scale your e-commerce business. It gets lost, there's fake money, there's I mean, the process to go to a bank and put it in. If you look on big e-commerce businesses, none of them is accepting cash on delivery, and they won't ever do, because the effort they have to incur, while normally e-commerce businesses are very lean, asset-light structures, is far too big. So a fee of, in our case, for example, Smart Louis, roughly 0.25% of the transaction value, I'm 100% convinced, is significantly less than what, holistically speaking, the handling of cash means for an e-commerce venture. So e-commerce businesses here in Cambodia, yes, there are still a little bit of, yeah, let me say it a bit blunt, garage style. Okay, it's not really a proper set-up structure where you run business long term. It's very incubator style. Of course, that's fair enough. But looking on it from a holistic business plan point of view, looking on full cost of a transaction, handling cash is a hassle. And yeah, the services that us Smart Louis can help you. We are very open to connect any merchant out there. It's a pretty straightforward and transparent setup. And yes, we are ready to help you also during the startup phase with certain marketing initiatives jointly, etc.
Well, that's interesting. I've heard that from a number of people, not least Vichet, who was saying earlier that cash on delivery is working, that people know how to use it, why not stick with that? And then the other point of view, which is sort of the inevitability of moving toward payment agents, so that's interesting. I will throw out one statistic I read in the Financial Times about a month ago, I forget the citation, but moving in emerging market economies away from cash on delivery typically results in a 30% increase in sales. And where that 30% comes from is capturing lost orders. A lot of people order and then they can't find the delivery person can't find them, it's the next day, they decide they don't want it. If they've already paid, well, they're sort of stuck with the item. But, well, unless there's a fair returns policy. But apparently overall, that's about 30% is lost on cash on delivery. So it does seem like there would be an impetus to eventually move more toward those kinds of systems. So I guess that brings me to my next question, which is, how do we accelerate that? Maybe, so Stephen or... How do we accelerate adoption?
Well, thank you. So before we come to the point where how can we accelerate the adoption of e-payment, I think there are many stakeholders here to get involved. We can looking at the long time ago or previous day that people buy things online from Cambodia market. They always choose some other product that is not available here, and then some people looking into shopping online like Amazon or eBay, so forth. And another thing is that if the market here is available and the online also available, sometimes mostly the people here in the city, they compare the price of the item. So sometimes they say that buying things online is cheaper, and sometimes they looking at the shop here in Cambodia. This is a story. But now buying things and online and promote something is available here in Cambodia. We see that Facebook now also play a role as at least the step one or initiator of how things is promoted on the online. At least people who use Facebook can see some other people want to sell something. Some go a little bit further to another step to provide a mobile phone to negotiate the price on that seeing display on Facebook. So this is another one factor. And some other fintech. But for ACVDA, we already have offered this payment solution. We have two, both the open loop, meaning that we use a mix system that accept Visa, Master, JCB card, and Diner Club card. And the closed loop, we also have another system to accept people can pay from the account or from our ACVDA Unity. So I see that from today we can say that if you still have this problem of the payment, we are happy to work with you to set up the
So do you find, are you having success with that platform? I mean, are a lot of people using it? Do you have challenges with the merchants adopting it?
Yes, from the other side, you can say that it start using by some other company. And we have our partner here, right now also use our payment gateway. And we have worked with the government Ministry of Commerce for business registration and certificate of origin. I mean, some company request for export something, they need to ask certificate from the ministry. And we also working with other company for the payment gateways.
Okay. So what, does anyone else have thoughts on how to accelerate merchant adoption? Or any other thoughts in general? Okay, Stephen.
Okay, so when we looked at trying to play our role in growing e-commerce in Cambodia, we looked at the Fan Now. Fan Now, we look at like what can we sell online that people need, and it's not where say label fashion, COD. People are used to that, and it's the cash on delivery. But what can we sell that's really, really convenient, for the consumer? We think of movie tickets, because you say a movie like Captain America comes out, and you see it's very, very popular. You look at when you go to Ia Mall, the major, and you see it's all sold out. It's very so it's very inconvenient. And something like this can create demand. So I see that like the major app, they are accepting their self-card rewards as well as Wing. And I see now my friends and others, they're topping up to their accounts. They're topping up to Wing or to the self-card rewards, because they want to buy the tickets in advance. So this is something where it creates demand, because it's definitely much more convenient for you to buy in advance versus you going to the major Cineplex a few hours in advance. So this is the kind of, I think, which is very very practical here in Cambodia, the movie tickets. But it's a very small cost. It's a low cost item. We need to get to like the Amazon.com level or into the eBay auction online. So if we look around and what can we sell? Can we sell electronics? Can we sell phones? The little fashion clothes there's demand. But maybe if we can figure out other merchandise, other things that we can really sell that will save consumers time, and it'll be it's convenient. So then they will have to use this. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg, where do we have people using credit cards today, or do we have anything to buy online today? And in a way, I think both don't exist today. So at least I think we need to create more consumer demand, and that will drive people tapping up to Smart Loy or to the Cell Card rewards or to Wing. So I think we all as an industry need to help figure out what is the demand besides movie tickets.
But I mean, I totally agree with Stephen on it. On the one hand side, the consumer adoption is driven by convenience, but I believe there are a couple of more factors around. Building an ecosystem, full ecosystem of e-payments will drive it. For me as a consumer, I will not take a credit card or a wallet of an e-payment solution if I have literally only one target, one payment to be made. So at the end, if I can use my Smart Louis to pay for electricity, for ordering my pizza, my cinema ticket, buying my clothes from Little Fashion, etc., the more variety I have, the more likely it is that I will adapt because I have a use case. And the second part is certainly also the merchants have to look at it in a way, yes, cash on delivery is an option, but is it the really preferred one if I want to scale my business? Maybe not. But to get people paying by an online solution, by an e-payment, the trust has to be there. And I believe the initiative which Bridgeham and Eurocham are taking here is a kind of voluntary code of conduct might have, I mean the e-commerce law is in the making, but that might not be sufficient enough to trust or to establish a trust by the consumers. In a few other markets, trusts, I mean a kind of authentication bodies have been established, certification bodies, where saying, okay, that online shop is verified, checked, has return policy, etc. So it's kind of a trusted online shop. Those kind of measures to build the trust amongst the consumers is needed also to bring people in and say, yeah, I'm paying for it upfront and I'm waiting to get it delivered in 2 days, but I can be sure it's in 2 days with me and it's the product I ordered and I can, in case it is not good, return it.
Thank you for mentioning the initiative we have for the codes of conduct, and that actually is an excellent point. The trust is an issue. I do understand that the e-commerce law, as it's been drafted, deals a lot with contracts and the validity of electronic signatures, but it does not actually address returns or expectations that consumers may have. So I think that's one of the efforts that we're doing here to try and accelerate trust online. Vijay?
I think in terms of adoption rates, if we want to accelerate it, we have to make e-payment better than cash in the e-commerce transaction, either by offering some discounts. So the merchant have to work with the e-payment providers, working on the promotion, joint promotions. Because for now, if you want, let's say there's two things, let's say A and B, let's say iPhone and Nokia. I ask you to choose which one. Then you would choose iPhone. Now you have the option to pay by cash, which is convenient to you in most of the cases. Then you would pay by cash. So in some cases, like booking, let's say a hotel room overseas, you have no option. Then you use e-payment. But now I want the case to be like with two options, but you still want to do e-payment because there's more benefits to that. Saying, okay, you want to push for that, merchants and e-payment providers can work together in pushing for that. Not just like a merchant have to bear a lot of costs for a lot of marketing costs for the e-payment providers. Right. Because, and another thing, you made a good point that, okay, maybe you can cut down the dropout rates by 30%. But we think, let's think about that. If you ask the consumer, if you push consumers really hard to use e-payment to buy our products, the conversion rate may be lower, much lower. So we always offer alternatives to them, and then they still choose cash because they don't see the point, right? Buying clothes at $30 and getting delivered to their home, and then they pay by cash. And they even have the option to cancel, and they have more incentive to use COD. Of course, we can try to switch those in the province that use money transfer to pay for online purchase to do e-payment. That's one area that we can do. I think we can push people to use e-payment more. Because right now, even mobile transfers account for 30% of our transactions. Yes, so we can push for that.
Paul, I think you had a comment.
Yeah, just a little bit more on sort of how do we increase the penetration. I mentioned before, the technology's there, in terms of 4G, the phones and capability, and people are smart and know how to use these phones and adapting to that new technology. It's affordability. I agree. Part of the affordability is the hardware, because people in this room aren't representing the whole market we're trying to capture. Right? So not everyone can afford a $600 smartphone. The second thing is around cost of transactions to the merchants. I agree, it's expensive. The card schemes, if you're doing Master through POS, is expensive. E-commerce is actually more expensive because banks are actually charging a higher percentage margin. That, I think, will change dramatically in the next 12 months. And I think that will come down in cost, so the merchants should be pleased about that. You'll start seeing the card schemes also being more aggressive and changing the pricing structure for in-country as opposed to what's more an international scheme as well. They have to, because they're losing out in the market. So the market is going to develop, but I think it comes down to education. Again, not everyone in this room is representative of the whole market. We need to do more education. Some of the initiatives we've talked about are going to go to that. And part of that education is around security, the benefits and everything else we need to do. So we all need to work together on that education solution. From disincentive, I agree, cash is a problem. It's a problem for banks, especially the US dollar. Banks are, and even the central bank, are pushing hard to work on solutions around de-dollarization. We can't de-dollarize and then use Khmer real cash, otherwise you'd be carrying around a suitcase. So, the initiatives that we're doing are the solution to part of de-dollarization. When we do have systems up and running, or there's a broader market of open and closed loops, you'll find there'll be more pressure from banks and also and the government, clearly, to de-dollarize. The government has just recently launched its fast payment system. So payment systems or e-payment systems aren't just on e-commerce buying over the web. Fast is a new system that's in UAT testing at the moment. A number of banks are doing that. That's going to make dramatic changes just in B2C, C2C type payments. But it's in Khmer real. Right? So the next stage will be start to penalise the US dollar once there are enough confidence in some of the systems around. And that there are a number of banks that I know, and Intercontinental Bank already working on solutions to start, penalising US currency type transactions to make that more expensive, but also equally bringing down the cost of electronic systems, so there can be a sort of gradual change of to this solution.
So you're describing actions that can be taken to incentivize certain types of transactions over others.
Yeah, and some of the, yes, as opposed to not cash. So, where cash comes out of is through the branches, through ATMs. So there'll be certain restrictions, over time that'll sort of limit, US dollars, or in fact, just the cost of US dollars. There's a significant cost to the banks in trying to collect dirty money which it can't return, because it's not the currency of the country.
Right. Any other thoughts on adoption?
Yes, thank you. I also see, for somebody, we don't have cash on delivery, or everything is virtual. But I see a lot of issues with consumers actually understanding electronic payments, or even following through the process. Because currently, I suppose most of the transactions that we have in the e-commerce space are done by phone. A lot of phone orders try to use an electronic payment system, and never mind who on the phone right now. It's simply not a convenient way to commit a transaction. On the other hand, we also see from ourselves at Sarai, we have our own wallet product. We try to push users towards using that, make it more easy on the phone, increase account security. We offer premiums, we offer discounts. The users are just not ready. They say, no, that way is, I don't want to learn those additional steps. I did it this way and it works, I'm continue doing it that way. There must be significant increase in usability, definitely, and it must be a lot more cheaper than it is right now if you do cash and delivery. I think usability is one big area, and I see it from our data as well. They have a very good system that is thought out to protect the account owner and to make it quite safe for him to use online transactions and to be sure that if I don't have my phone and the card, nobody can steal my account. But it also makes it a lot difficult to use. I mean, there's now 4 or 5 steps you need to go through, and most people give up halfway through, I think, because we have done studies in IT, in adaptation for software, and every step that you do to lead the user towards this goal loses you about 20% of your subscribers. So if you have 4 or 5 steps, you're probably down to like 30% of people actually following through with that transaction.
But that's online payments, so there has to be extra security because of the extraordinary fraud control that's there.
Sure.
But payments by just using your phone to go to buy a bus ticket while you're on the bus or in shops and restaurants, which is NFC technology, which some banks here have, that is also electronic payments, and that's also going to be, that is a lot easier. Higher risk for the thing, but it's seen as cash. You lose your wallet, you lose the same thing.
So Chris, earlier you asked how can we accelerate this e-commerce adoption in Cambodia. Again, it get back to consumer demand. I'm using an example of movie tickets again. Prior to FanNow or the major app in buying tickets in advance, the cinemas were accepting booking, reserving the seats. But then they actually go to the cinema like 15, 20 minutes in advance, and then they'll go and pick up the tickets, and then they pay in cash. So it's a form of COD, booking movie tickets. But the cinemas, when we start working together, they have a lot of business risk. One is that all those bookings, reserving all the seats, and then suddenly at the last minute, no one shows up, and so that's lost opportunity. The same thing is talking about Little Fashion. As long as Little Fashion is offering COD, the consumers will always select COD. That is much more convenient than they have the cash. They're not going to go to e-payment. I would say if we're looking at accelerating, if Little Fashion would stop COD, definitely e-payment would accelerate.
I think we can start from, trying to replace the money transfer, mobile money transfers. Right? It accounts for 30% of transactions. So those in the province, they still prefer to use money transfers. So if we can get those people to use e-payments, then that would be a great idea. And then we can move to the next step. And of course, we have to work. We have to think about the risk and the conversion rate as well. So there should be a way to work around that issue eventually. But for now, I think we can try to get people in the province to using e-payments.
And I understand your concern about the learning a new tool, a new experience. They can have the Amazon one-click order experience, except that Amazon was awarded a patent for one-click ordering. So I guess it'll be 2 clicks. I did, just one other thought about adoption. 12 years ago in China, the e-commerce market was effectively zero, and this year it will be $500 billion US transacted online in China. And if you look at those early days, they were all the same issues that we faced. They were, do I know I'm going to get this? What if it's broken? How do I trust this system? But very quickly, we've gotten to this point where it's now $500 billion. So
yeah,
it is possible. We can see that future, but I guess then the question, as we're talking about, is how to get there. Go ahead.
Maybe one additional aspect to be looked at. I see this as a risk rather coming on us. In the meantime, in Cambodia, I think we have 6, 7 e-wallets. How many internet payment gateways or alternative e-payments such as Bitcoins and FanNow credits, etc. And each of them is at the moment an island. And if I would be a merchant, I would also have certain resistance in saying, oh, I need to integrate with this whole lot of bunch partners, and that is creating a trouble and a nightmare. So I think from an e-payment provider perspective, and as I said, that is solutions such as Ring, Khmerload, etc., but also from the alternative payment operators, there should be a greater desire for partnerships. I mean, we are very open for partnerships, but at the end of the day, if we are all developing islands, it will be a niche by its own, and it will not be picked up by the consumers, because also they will not take 6 wallets and have FanNow credit and some Bitcoins and XYZ and maybe some other currencies coming up. That's all too much for a consumer perspective as well. So, greater need for partnerships and interoperability to drive usage.
We're not going to talk about Bitcoin. So let's do this. I'll ask the panelists if they actually have any questions for each other, one or two thoughts, and otherwise, I think we can open it up to the floor. Or we can open it up directly to the floor. Do we have...
Okay, I just have one comment on the e-commerce law. I recently been to Thailand and I spoke to people from the Thailand Innovation Center, and they basically said that the e-commerce law in Thailand has been passed in the late 90s, 99 or 98, and only now did they have the first court case actually based on that law. So it takes a long, long time to actually get the law from being passed into the judicial system. The judges understand the law, prosecutors understand the law, defendants understand the law. So it took them 15, 16 years to get there. So even if the e-commerce law passes tomorrow, it might not help a lot.
That's the trouble with the judicial system, it just gets in the way. Questions? Don't tweet that. Robert.
Rami Sharaf, Senior Vice President at Royal Group. Thanks for the panel, great discussion. Actually, I have a couple of comments. Number one, the need for awareness and education. It was raised, and it's happening in some of the transactions that are going on. I think that was good training for the public, like you can pay your tax, you can pay your license fee, you can pay your electricity bill. This was not the case a couple of years back. It was cash, cash, cash. And having companies like Wing and others really facilitated that transaction. The second one, I fully agree with Thomas, alignment. We saw it in telecom. I mean, they had 3 operators. And then I get the product, and if I don't like it, I return it with the same logistics supply. The fourth point is e-commerce added value. I know your little fashion is on 63. So if I'm living in Phnom Penh, I'm anyhow in BKK, I go drop in and pick and pay. The added value is for that guy in Battambang who needs to drive 6 hours to come to your little fashion. Or someone in a province, that is a big question that I need it, I want it, I can afford it, but how can I get it? And my question for you is, those who could get the product, first time cash on delivery, second time cash on delivery, what is the ratio of those who built the trust and after that they are okay with you, I know little fashion, I trust them, I buy from them many times, and you know what, now I don't need cash in transit, COD, I am ready to use my e-payment or whatever. So that's another point. The last point is the added value of e-commerce to Cambodia. One of the major discussions when this whole thing was discussed some years back, and I remember Senior Minister Champ said when he was talking big about e-commerce, we know the thousands of SMEs in Cambodia who are waiting for the right platform of an e-commerce where it opens that e-commerce. I think our discussion today is mainly domestic e-commerce content. E-commerce is added value, is opening horizons, opening markets, giving the platform for these SMEs who cannot afford a shop, who cannot afford a channel to display and sell. We give them that platform electronically, and if we have a solid platform to execute, that is an added value. So having all these points together, I think, gives us some good food for thought, how to work on alignment, work on education, work on better logistics, and utilizing it for a better added value for Cambodia rather than for a city like Phnom Penh, and how we can utilize. And the crown of all that, we would have a big challenge coming. The integration of ASEAN happened in December. The right execution didn't happen yet. When tomorrow we will have the Malaysian little fashion, the Thai little fashion, the Singaporean little fashion, all these guys will come sooner or later. So if we are not mature enough to be ready for those newcomers, we will just be lagging behind. Thank you.
Jose Palazzo, Phnom Penh resident. This question is for Mr. Clements. You mentioned about the fast track, about the what was it called? FAST system. And I was reading about that National Bank of Cambodia initiative, and they also had launched. They're going to be launching a central service switch. So I was wondering what's the difference, and also what impact that will have on e-commerce, on payment systems. It seems like they'll be launching something of their own, and how will that play in the economic landscape, the ecosystem of financial transactions?
Sure. So the central bank here has built a system called FAST, which is Fast and Secure Transactions. It's very similar to other systems, in Singapore. The whole intent is for the transaction to be fast. It's supposed to be sort of, payment to person between banks within 10 minutes. And I think some of the testing has been just within a couple of minutes, getting clear funds to the other counterparty. So that's under UAT testing at the moment, with I think it's going live in July. But there's only some banks that are actually participating, because the banks have to integrate the system into their back office right now. So there's a progressive step towards that. The limitation is that it's in Khmer Ringgit. So if you want to make a payment to your friend, you got to send them Khmer Ringgit. Or if you're going to convert US to Khmer Ringgit back to US. So there's a disadvantage of that system. However, it's a whole strategy around de-dollarization and providing an alternative system to what currently happens. So that's good for C2C, B2C, etc., or B2B type payments across banks. The central bank is also this year building a ATM switch. There already is an existing ATM switch that some banks use and share, but this will be open to all banks again, or all financial institutions, where they can, if they have a card, debit card or credit card, can get cash out of anyone's other ATM. Still a bit of work to be done in terms of agreement between banks on fees, etc. But the whole intent is there to do that. Although that's not a great system, because it is consistent and convenience, but it's costly and it's still cash.
Hello.
Yeah, I think trust is a very important thing for e-commerce. I can give you an example. When I just started selling clothes online, I started selling clothes at the price of $15 to $25. But mostly people would buy the one at the price range like 15 to 20, something like that. But now I can sell, let's say, a dress at $150 online. So it's important to get people to buy first. If we get people to buy and we deliver the product that they want and the product of good quality, then they start trusting. Once they start trusting, they can tell their friends, their family members about the safety of online shopping, and then it can grows in the number of online shoppers. Then we can start. First, we don't care about the payments, and then once we have a large number of online shoppers, we can think about the payments. I know that e-payment has good benefits for merchants in terms of scaling their business, because if we rely on cash on delivery, then it's hard to scale in the future. In the very long term future. So I think now the important thing is to get people to buy, and to get people to switch to e-payment, it's taking time, but we can all work together, and we can start from us first. Say, Thomas, you can start buying my products.
I'm not going to pay $150 for a dress. I'll tell you that.
Smart staff, pay from bank staff. I think that, yes, I think that. 30,000 something.
You got 11,000 staff.
Exactly.
And if you don't have anything to buy online, you can go to my site, Facebook, app or website. We have. Yeah, you can get discounts because I would like all of us staff.
Okay, we expect a special discount code for this room.
So I'll just pick up one final point. You talked about what's the economic benefit. The whole intent of the fast system is it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than that's currently around if you compare it to Wing. So yet to be seen and what the pricing will be. Maybe day one will be $1.49, but as more banks join, it'll get cheaper and cheaper. Once I join, it'll be well below $1 or even less. In other countries, you're talking 10, 20 cents type transactions. So it becomes very, very cheaper. That will also drive other costs down in terms of other players and make it more affordable, more acceptance and everything else. So that's one of the objectives of obviously the central bank is to make certainly more free in terms of payments, have a payment system which is more sort of, I guess it's low value, but make it extremely cheap. $1.50 is just too expensive.
No, those costs are a real barrier. That's true. I think we have another question, one more question.
I have a very specific question. I want to publish some books here and market them on the internet and sell them overseas, take orders, and have people pay electronically. I only have a bank account here. I don't have one in the U.S. I understand that makes it more complicated. Is it possible at present to find some way to do that, or not?
Well, I believe if you publish them via Apple's bookstore, then people could buy it via credit cards or, as I mentioned earlier, Smart Pay, also domestically. And they will transfer the money they settle to your bank account. I mean, Apple will do it as a publisher in your case.
And you can send the books out from here?
I mean, you mean e-books or physical books?
Physical books.
Okay, I was talking about e-books. Right? Physical books, okay, I mean, shipping out, you need to probably take the DHL forward.
No, that's an excellent point, and I think, Rami, you touched on that as well. The challenge right now is that there's for the ASEAN economic community, there's a single window for customs clearing. It may not help for shipping outside of ASEAN, but a number of ASEAN nations have not yet met their obligations there. So the challenge with that is that if I want to sell a container load of krama to Singapore and it's got 5,000 krama in it, that's one piece of customs paperwork for me for 5,000 krama. But if I sell 5,000 individually, that's 5,000 pieces of paperwork. So you touch on some challenges, which are how to ship abroad. So that is definitely an issue.
So getting the payment is...
And getting the payment.
Okay. Do you want to comment first? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Shade does have a system to clear for you. Any creditor.
Yeah, we accept the open loop card association card scheme. Yeah.
There's your merchant bank.
Okay, I'm Cole from the shipping point of view. So I can see during the meeting that we are focused more on the e-payments, but e-commerce is not much cover about it. Okay, like for e-document, e-invoicing, like e-certificate. I think the shipping line, most of the shipping lines, like you have mentioned a little bit earlier, like most of the country in Asia, start doing it, but Cambodia we are still right behind, and the Asians coming soon. So how we can accelerate and how to raise awareness to the business to business. I think we are talking earlier is more business to individuals, but business to business we have a little bit cover on this part. So in terms is the Eurochamp and Bridgechamps, how to we can raise awareness to the business in Cambodia. Thank you.
That's a great question. So I think if I understand your question, it's how do we accelerate business-to-business commerce in Cambodia or within ASEAN?
Worldwide.
Or worldwide, okay, also. Or the galaxy, really. Beyond that. No, you know, those are big issues, and I think that as several of the panelists touched on, there's a lot of small pieces that have to fall into place, and I would say, for one thing, making the customs clearance electronic is one of the top barriers right now, along with clearing of merchant banks inside and outside the country for consumer purchases, and as we heard, we have that, the beginnings of that, so that does exist. And also, if you're interested in helping to solve that challenge, we invite you to be part of the eBusiness group, because those are exactly the issues that we're working on to try to get rid of those barriers.
Hello. Hello everyone, my name is Uray. Basically I'm originally from Siem Reap. I've been here like a few years ago. And a little bit common and based on our experience is the first to the question about physical book is, I think cross-border logistics is still a huge problem for Asia. So even though we support a payment system, cross-border is going to be another nightmare for Asia. And I've been in the business for hotel booking system. It's about 6 years. We might can consider it as an e-commerce. So when I started, when we get the first hotel using our system, we get so nervous, like, oh God, how are we going to handle a payment system? 6 years ago. And now we are managing about